classroom is very safe and positive learning climate. And then you raise that to the student and with care, and then you never scream or yell them, and yeah, it is so good, and then that makes them feel comfortable here and then do their job here. Yeah, we are supposed to make safe, positive learning climate for the students, and we can talk about the student-centered classroom. Yeah, what do you think about this?
For that, what I like to do is try to give them some choices, especially like as they get further along in the year or the end of the year, having them be able to choose maybe this material that they use, different topic that is under a like a broad category, so they can choose a smaller, like a smaller topic within that or theme, because that way I feel like they're more invested in, like they really want to do the project. If it's something that they're interested in, that really tends to help a lot, and then they just take more interest in taking care of the classroom and being a part of it as well.
And last time with JK, and I used as like give them an opportunity to pick the colors of ribbons, and I think that was a kind of student-centered classroom. And next element is managing the learning environment, the norms and procedures. And what do you think about your norms here and procedures?
So I try to keep the same procedures when they come in, and then with our cleanup and then when we're leaving. And you know, sometimes it's hard depending on the class, because in this kind of environment, I have not the same class every single day, all day. It's, you know, changing grade levels. In one day we might have 5 different classes, different grade levels. And so if they don't always come every single day, they do forget the expectations and the procedures. So it is a lot of reminding, and you know, it is something that you constantly have to work at. But they do, like, once you have a routine down, they tend to understand it, and then they sometimes forget, and you have to again remind them.
Yeah, it's going to be the concept knowledge. Do you want to build on student proper knowledge?
So there's a couple things I want them to learn from art. Well, first I want them to be creative and to know that this is a place where they can show that. But I also want them to learn certain skills as they're going, like the elements and of principles of design. I want them to know like specific skills within each material, just the baseline, and then we build upon that. And then I also like to introduce our cultures as well.
Next element is instructional resources.
So is this resources that I have for myself to create, or like for us to create lessons, or is it more for the students, or both?
I'm not. You can prepare for the classes with this instructional resources, right?
Yeah, I think it could be seen as both things, like resources, for the students to understand. So I think that's something, you know, when we have presentations that we show them in the beginning, or a lot of times a book that connects with it, or a video, or and having images that we show them, like our posters and stuff.
Next one is application of content, and the element is a project-based learning. Have you ever tried it, project-based learning?
Yeah, we actually, that's a lot of what we do with science, and where we're mixing the different classes, so collaborating with science and then the classrooms, and they call it TDUs here, transdisciplinary learning. So very similar though, where you're giving the child a lot of choices as like what they're working towards, and so instead of just creating one specific project, they have a little bit more of their own guidance that they can choose.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be very interesting.
It is, yeah. It's a lot to manage, but it is very interesting, and they tend to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. And next element is application to real-world problems and interdisciplinary themes.
Yep, and that's
you just said that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we try to do at school.
Yeah, it's good. And next, the assessment, kind of assessment.
Well, we do, but it's not always quite as obvious. Yeah, so there's a lot of the informal assessing. Where it's like more of a checklist as I'm going around, or like when I was on my virtual class just now, I was checking certain things off. And then another thing would be, there are rubrics that I will show, especially the older kids, because they understand like the wording a little more. The younger kids, it's more of just saying, okay, these are the things I'm looking for, and showing that as well. Yeah.
And next element is analyzing data to meet learning objectives and student learning needs. So this data is going to be there.
And with when we have things like that, we can use that as well along to kind of see where they were in the beginning and maybe in the middle and towards the end. When we have like a longer year and you can start in the beginning, sometimes it's a good idea to start with a similar project that you might do later on towards the end of the year, so you can see that growth that they've had.
You can see how improved they.
Exactly.
And assessment.
Yeah, so this is a little different because we don't have accommodations for testing, but we could do accommodations for special needs students in here. Like for us, it would be more like sensory things. So if they don't want to touch certain materials, like, or there's some students that maybe have that aversion, they don't want to touch certain things, or even like the little seating discs that we have to help them kind of wiggle around a little more, or if we know that they have a hard time sitting, if they need to get up or walk around, and trying a different way to do the project.
Is planning for instruction. The element is evidence-based instructional strategies. Do you make instructional strategies like evidence-based?
So do you mean like making my curriculum, like my planning? Yeah, we use something called Atlas, which is a computer program, and then we put in our lesson plans, and we have to put in every single thing with the objectives and things like that.
And next element is this one, and planning instruction and sequencing of learning. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, so as what I try to do in the beginning of the year with students is start off trying to like understand where they're at when they're coming in. So especially like, for instance, if I was doing a class with kindergarten, I would start off with a very basic lesson about like lines, or like trying to see how they can draw, if they can hold the pencil properly or the materials, and just kind of gauging where they're at, and then we turn that into the next thing would be something with shapes, and then eventually putting those things together, showing how they all relate to everything around us. So,
that's the sequencing of learning.